Hi there. This video is about Desmos activities, or as I like to call them, teacher time savers and student engagers. My name's Audrey McLaren. I'm an online math tutor and consultant for Learn Quebec. I don't work for Desmos, but I'm a huge Desmos fan. You may be just now asking yourself, when on earth, with all that's going on, would I have time to learn how to even use Desmos activities? Well, the only time commitment is this video. That's how long it will take to know how to use them. Fine. When would I have time to create activities then? Well, you don't really need to because there are so many of them already out there and they're fantastic. And why should I invest any time at all when I'm doing just fine? My experience with Desmos activities has been that I can save time because I can cover more, I can do it faster, I can go deeper, all because I have much higher student engagement. In this video, I'll show you how a Desmos activity looks from the student point of view and the teacher point of view. And I'll show you how to find Desmos activities and create some Desmos activities very quickly. Let's have a look at what students would see in these 3 sample activities that align nicely with different topics in the Quebec curriculum. The fraction activity is about locating a fraction on a number line by using another representation of the fraction in the form of a shaded rectangle. The way that this Desmos is set up, the students can interact both with the shaded rectangle and with the number line. They start out by using the rectangle to locate the fraction, but over the course of the examples, it flips. And they start by estimating the location of the fraction on the number line and then using the shaded rectangle to check and see how close they came. Here students are invited to put their mathematical thought down in a text box, and that can either be kept to themselves or shared with the class depending on the situation. However, this is a way of participating that more students are comfortable with rather than speaking up in class. In the human stopwatch activity, which is about analyzing data, the actual data is generated by the class during the live Desmos activity. Students use a built-in timer to estimate how long 10 seconds is, and they actually get 2 tries at it, after which they can see how close their guess was to 10 seconds, and then Desmos compiles the entire class's results, which is something that would be quite time-consuming to do without Desmos, and it also sets the stage for another class discussion around which round was better. The systems activity starts informally with students thinking of 2 numbers that have a difference of 8. They see those 2 numbers graphed on a Cartesian plane, and then they see the entire class's numbers. That process is then repeated with 2 other numbers that add up to 1. Again, everything is represented on a Cartesian plane, individually and as a class, and then we're ready for a more formal discussion of the significance of the meeting point of those 2 lines. You are in this activity with your students, but you'll see something different than they do. Now here's the teacher point of view during the live activity. This is the teacher dashboard, where I can see the moment that every single student enters the activity. Right now I've got it on pause mode because I'm waiting for everyone to get there before I actually get started. Once everyone's in, I remove the pause, but I'm still pacing them. Right now, the 2 screens that are in orange are the only 2 that I want the students to interact with. So right now, I can see at a glance that almost everyone is still on screen 1, and gradually students are moving on to screen 2 to get their second stopwatch reading. And once I see enough people have completed screen 2, I can set the pacing to now allow them to go on to screen 3. There are other view options available to the teacher as well, apart from the summary view. I can look and see how everyone is doing on a single screen 3 here, for example. And if I need to, I can also see how one individual student is doing on that screen. How to find Desmos activities. One way is to go to teacher.desmos.com and use their search tool to find an activity and to go to its page. From the page, you can preview the screens, see if it's an activity you'd like to try, and then you want to bring your students in. In order to do that, you assign it to them, which basically just means that a link is generated that you share with them so that you're all in the activity at the same time. Here are a few more features available in the teacher dashboard. It shows all of the screens and the whole activity up at the top. Down the left-hand side, you see the names of all of your students. You can also see where everyone is in the activity. You can see how everyone is doing and what they're doing. By the way, it may appear that my class is made up of famous mathematicians, and that's because I'm using the anonymizer tool. And just as you saw before, I can zoom in to see what a particular student is doing. Here's what Hypatia is up to on screen 9. You can, of course, create your own activities from scratch. In fact, it will probably be difficult to resist doing that, in which case I would recommend starting with a few activities that have built-in functionalities: multiple choice, card sort, and polygraph. And out of all of these choices of components that you can use on the left, here's where you can find those 3, starting with a multiple choice, which is pretty self-explanatory. All you need to do is add your question, your answer choices, tell Desmos which answer is the right one. You can have your students prompted to explain their answer choice and or make their answers visible to others. Once you're all in the activity together, you can see at a glance who got the question right. And if you selected the option, you can see everyone's explanations as well. These explanations can also be made visible to the rest of the class and can serve as really excellent conversation starters. The next easy to create activity is called a card sort. Here's what a card sort looks like to the student. They see cards, which they can drag and sort, in this case into groups of equivalent expressions. For you to create the card sort, you simply select card sort from the list on the left. All you need to do is supply the cards, which can be text, images, or graphs. In this case, the cards were all math text. You can add an answer key, again, so that Desmos can tell you who sorted things according to the answer key. And as usual, during the live activity, the dashboard gives you a very quick idea of who's doing fine and who needs help. Looks like Christine and Hertha have something sorted incorrectly, so you can zoom in and see where Hertha went wrong. Final activity you can very quickly create is a polygraph, which is actually a game that looks like this to the student. Here's how it works. As soon as the students are in the activity, they are randomly paired with one other student and assigned to be the picker or the guesser. So here the picker is Kimberly and the guesser is Dorothy. They'll both see the same 16 tiles, but not in the same order. Then the picker selects one of the tiles. So Kimberly has picked this one. Dorothy now has to guess which one Kimberly picked by asking yes or no question. Based on Kimberly's answers, Dorothy then eliminates tiles until she's able to narrow it down to the correct one. Whether you use an already existing activity or one that you've created, either way you'll need to create a Desmos account. It's free for you and your students. Head on over to Desmos Classroom and you'll find additional resources for teachers as well. Enjoy!